continue with, so we are going to move on to the next topic, that is closure properties of regular languages. Okay, so closure properties of regular languages. Okay, so here this is the last topic of the module. Okay, so from the next class we'll be dealing with context-free languages and push-down operators. Here we'll be dealing with the operators. What about the operators we discussed with regard to the regular languages? So regular languages is nothing. It is going to be the languages generated by means of the regular expression. So in the regular expression, so what about the operators? We'll be using union, concatenation, chain closure, right? Okay, here we'll be discussing these three things first and then we'll be proceeding further. So here we are going to check whether union, concatenation and chain closure are closure with respect, regular language. We are going to check whether regular language is closure with respect to union, concatenation and chain closure. So what do you mean by this? So first we can start with union. Let us consider there is a language L1. Okay, so it is a regular language. Let us consider a regular language L1 and then we are having another regular language L2. Okay, so please make a note over here. L1 is a regular language and L2 is a regular language. We are going to see that L1 union L2 is also a regular language. Right? L1 union L2 is also a regular language. So what we mean by it? So for example, L1, let us consider L1 involves A and B and L2 involves 0 and 1. So what is L1 union L2 does nothing but A, B, 0, 1. Okay. So here, how to prove that union is closure? Okay, so how we are going to prove that regular language is closure under union operator? How we are going to prove that? So here we are going to prove that by means of designing the finite automata. Okay, designing the finite automata. Just we are going to see the overview and then we are going to move on further. Let us consider a language L1 for which there is a finite automata. So here you can go for any of the automata. We are not going to restrict with the DFA or anything, right? So here what are the main components that will be present in the finite automata of a particular language? There will be a start state and there will be a set of one final state or a set of final states. Okay, so this is the finite automata for language L1. So intermediate, that can be anything, right? So intermediate, that can be anything. So here for language L1, that will be one. If we design a finite automata, it will be having a start state. We will be having a set of final state. And similarly for language L2, we will be having a start state and a set of final states, right? And a set of final state. So what we have to prove? We have to prove that L1 union L2 is also regular. So if it is regular, we will be in a position to design a finite automata, right? We can design a finite automata for a regular language. Okay. So if it is possible for us to design the finite automata for this language, then we can prove that L1 union L2 is regular. How we can design the finite automata? What we can do? We can just include a start state, right? We can just include the start state. So what is this thing? So I can either have L1 or I can either have L2, right? So and then what I can have just the epsilon transition to the start state of this finite automata and start state of this finite automata, right? Okay, so please make a note over here. Here just I'm going to introduce a start state, and from this new start state I'm going to give an epsilon transition to the start state of N1 and N2. Here we need not here in the case of McNaught and Thompson algorithm, we used to concatenate from all the final states. We used to have connection to the new final state. So we need not have that. For example, if suppose here in this case, we are not clear, right? We are not clear with the language of L1 and we are not clear with the language of L2. For example, for this state, we will be giving one task, and for this state, we may be giving another task, and for this state, we'll be giving one task, right? So if all the things are connected to a single final state, we cannot split the task, right? Considering that, we are not going to merge the final states here to a single final state here, right? So by this, we can prove that L1 union L2 is regular. Next comes the concatenation. So what is concatenation? Yes, again a language L1, right? Again a language L1 which will be having a chart state and it will be having a set of finds. And similarly that will be language L2 which will be having a chart state and a set of final states. Right. So here what we have to do, prove? We have to prove that L1 concatenated L2 is regular. So in order to prove that this regular, what should I, so what is concatenation? So for example, L1 is equal to AA, BB, and L2 is equal to. So what is L1 concatenated L2? And we have a, so first this part should come and then this one, AA, DD, DBCC, DD. Okay, so we have to prove this as regular. So for that, we have to design the finite automata. How we can design the finite automata? Either we can have the state as the start state. The only thing is that the first part should be the string that belongs to L1, right? So the first we have to have the string that belongs to L1, and only at the end I should have the strings that belongs to L2. So what can I do? I can either have the state as the start state, or I can introduce a new start state, and with this I can have an epsilon transition, and then from these final state I will be having the epsilon transition to the start state of L2. Okay, start state of L2. So by this I can construct the epsilon in Nepal for this particular concatenation, L1 concatenation with L2. So by this what we can prove? So we can prove that L1 concatenated L2 is a regular language. Right? So L1 is regular and L2 is regular. So if I have to prove L1 concatenated with L2 is regular, I should be in a position to design the finite automata for that particular language. So here in this case, I'm able to construct the finite automata. So this is also regular. Right? Next comes yes, clean closure. So what is clean closure? Yes, thank you. Right. So this is the start state and these are the final states. So what should I do? So what is, so this is for language L1. So what should I prove here? L1 star is also regular. Okay, I should prove that L1 star is also regular. So how can I prove? I should be able to design a finite automata for this particular language. So what is L1 star? Clean closure is nothing but I will be having epsilon, right? Epsilon, and the strings can be concatenated any number of times. So whatever may be the language here. For example, L1 is equal to A, VA. So likewise, and so on. In clean closure cluster, what I'll be having? I'll be having epsilon A, likewise it goes on, right? And it will be on. I should be having any combination, any number of concatenations possible. So and epsilon should also be possible. So what should I do? I should be make this as the final state as well. In addition to the start state, it will act as the final state and I'll be having So because without any symbol, it should get accepted, right? It should get accepted. And similarly, it should be in a position. So from all the states, I should be able to reach. So that is, it can be repeated any number of times, right? I can. So if there is AA, I'll be reaching this particular state. But I can have AA, likewise, it goes on. So there should be repetition. So repetition should be possible. So for that, what should I do? I have to create a from all the final state, I should be in a position to reach the star state. So here, by this, we can prove that L1 is sorry, uh, that is a regular language is closure under clean closure, right? So that is if language L1 is regular, then L1 star will also be a regular language, right? Next comes the intersection complement and reversal. So the previous things we already come across, so you will be clear with that, right? So here comes the intersection, complement, and what is it? Reversal. So what do you mean by intersection? So here, so what is intersection?
Including the common elements
Yes,
from the two
yes.
languages.
I hope you can already recollect the things we have discussed. Do you remember the one thing? So we have discussed a question where number of zeros, we have designed a finite automata to show that number of zeros, that is to check whether number of zeros are or even or odd, I don't remember, okay, or even. And then we have designed a finite automata to check whether the number of ones are odd. Okay, so for a particular string, we have designed a finite automata to check whether the number of zeros are even, and we have designed a finite automata to check whether the number of ones are odd. Is this one, right? Uh, yes, consider this, right? So number of A's are that is mod 2, mod 2, right? So for A, we have checked, for B, we have checked, right? And then what we have constructed the DFA for which number of A's and B's should be divisible by 2. Do you remember this question? Can you recollect it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this is one DFA, which is for the language where number of A's is divisible by 2. And this is for the language where number of A's is divisible by 2, right? And so this is one language. This is one regular language and this is one regular language, right? L1, L2. And then this is nothing but the intersection, right? So that is L1 and L2. So both should be there, right? So that we have designed, we were in a position, we were able to design the finite automata where number of A's and B's are divisible by 2, right? So by this we can prove that intersection is regular languages are closure under intersection. Next comes the complement and reversal. So here in the case of complement, what do you mean by the term complement? So for example, Okay, likewise it goes on. So what you can infer from this particular language?
And the string should contain at least one A.
Good. Yes. Good. So the string contains one A. So that is this particular language. And what will be L complement? So does not containing the language that does not contain a, right? So here we are going to check whether regular languages are closure and a complement operator. So here again, how so what will be the finite automata for this one? So here, yes, I can have any number of A's in different. I should have at least one A, and after that I can have any number of A's and B's, right? So this is the finite automata for this particular language. How we can convert this finite automata for this particular image, right? So we are going to convert this finite automata for this complement. How we can convert? So it is a very simple thing. The only thing is change the final state to non-final state. So whatever may be the number of final states, change all the final states to non-final states and all the non-final states to final states. Okay. The final state should be changed to non-final and non-final should be changed to final. Okay. So let us try with that. So this is the non-final state. So let me change that to final and this is final and let me change this to non-final, right? So the rest is going to be the same. What is the language accepted by this finite automata?
Which only contains B.
Yes, which one? That is, it can it accepts the language that does not contain B, right? If A comes, it will enter into the trap state, right? So here, yes, if language L is regular, then complement of that language is also regular. So because we are able to design the finite automata of that, right? Next is going to be the reversal operator. Reversal. So what do you mean by reversal? So let us consider L. What you can infer from this particular language?
Starts with A.
Yes, starts with A, right? So this language just starts with A. So the reversal in the sense it should end with A, right? End with A. So here reversal of this language is ends with A. Okay. So here we can design so we are going to prove that reversal, regular languages are closure in the reversal. So first we are going to design the finite automata for this one. Okay. If here I'll be moving on to the final state and after that I can have any number of A's and B's. And if B comes, I'll be moving on to the trap state. Right. Okay, so this is the finite automata for this particular language. Yes. Now we have to convert this, that is convert in the sense we have to design the finite automata for this particular language, that is reversal of N. Reversal of N. How we are going to form it? So it is again a very simple thing. what we have to do here is the start state should, that is the start state will become the final state, and final state will become the start state. Okay, so final state will become the start state, and the direction of transition will also be reversed. Direction of transition will also be reversed. Okay, let me repeat. Start state will become the final state, and final state will become the start state. So here, so this start state will become the final state, and this final state will become the start state, right? Zero. And direction of transition will be reversed. So here it will be reversed. And similarly here it should be reversed. Right? So what happens? So what about the language accepted by this particular automata? It will accept the string that ends with A, right? So this is the automata which accepts the string that starts with A, whereas this automata will accept the string that ends with A. So here you can see, is this a reachable state? Can we reach this particular state too?
No, ma'am.
So it can be removed off, right? Okay. So by this we can prove that what is that, reversal, regular languages are closure under a reversal. This is with regard to the closure properties of regular languages. Are you clear with this?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am,
yes, ma'am.
ma'am, not all things can be reversed, right? Like
Yes,
if you have
yes,
like,
yes. If multiple final states are there, then it cannot be reversed.
okay, ma'am.
Appropriate changes need to be made. Okay. Okay, ma'am. That's it with the closure properties. Okay, I have asked you to solve one question in the last class, right? That is, I have asked you to show that A or B star to whole star or equal or not. Have you checked that?
Yes, ma'am.
What about others now? What happened? Okay, let me proceed with this, right? So please make a note over here. If it is not clear, please do listen. Because after this point, we'll be moving on to the next module. Okay, so we'll not be discussing this particular thing later. So please do make a note of it. Okay, so what is the first step? So here in this case, we are going to check whether this regular expression and this regular expression are same or not by means of constructing minimized deterministic finite automata. Okay, So what is the first step in constructing the minimized finite automata? First, we have to make this finite automata an augmented one, right? We have to make it as an augmented, regular expression as an augmented regular expression. So concatenate it by hash. So please listen here. It is a very simple thing, just concatenate it with hash, that's it. So concatenated regular expression. What is the next step? So I have to construct the parse tree. How I am going to construct the parse tree? So here it is a very simple thing. So A or B concatenated, sorry, A R B star, right? A R B star concatenated with hash. Okay, concatenated. For concatenation, we'll be using a cat node. So the small circle. Okay, hash. So what is next step is over. So first convert it into augmented regular expression, then construct the parse tree. So what is the next step? Just number the non-epsilon leaf nodes. Okay, so all the non-epsilon leaf nodes should be numbered. So 1, 2, 3. So the next, what is the next step? Dealing with the nullable function. So for all the non-epsilon leaf nodes, the nullable will be false. Okay, leaf nodes for all the non-epsilon leaf nodes, nullable will be false. False, false, false. And then next step, so we have to deal with the intermediate node. So for our node, the nullable is nothing but nullable of C1 or nullable of C2. So if either one is true, then it will end with the true. True, right? So here both are false, so this is also false. And next, with respect to star node, so here the nullable is true because for clean closure we will be having epsilon, right? So this is true. And for cat node, it is a limit C1 and C2. Nullable of C1 and C2. Only if both are true, we will end up with the 2. Here only one is true, right? The next is false. So true and false will end up in false. Okay. Next comes the first position and the last position. First position and the last position. So here the first position of all the leaf nodes will be its own number. Okay, its own position. So first position is 1, here 1, and here 1. And similarly, the last position will also be the same. 1, sorry. Okay, and for R node, it is nothing but first position of C1 union C2. C1 union C2. So 1, 2. And similarly, last position is the last position of C1 union C2. So 1, 2. For star node, it is nothing but yes, first position of C1, and similarly for last position, it's nothing but last position of C1. It's going to be same thing. For cat node comes the condition to be checked. So what should we check? So we have to check whether nullable of C1 is true. So here in this case it is true. So if it is true, what should I do? What should we do? It should be union of C1, first position of C1, union first position of C2. So it is 1, 2, 3. And here nullable of sorry, with regard to last position. So here we are dealing with the last position. So if nullable of C2 is true, then it is going to be union. So here in this case it is false. So it is going to be the last position of C2 alone. So it is 3. Right. So what is the next step we have to deal with? Yes, what we have to do, we have to proceed with the finding the
Follow
follow
position.
position. Yes, follow position of 1, follow position of 2. So please make a note over here. Follow position should be only for the numbered positions. Okay, only for the numbered positions. So follow position of 1, follow position of 2, follow position of 3. So in order to find the follow position, we'll be dealing only with the cat node and the star node. So here, please check and make a note over here. So just what is the logic behind this? We'll be checking the last position and we'll be adding the first position in the follow, right? So here we'll be dealing with the star and the cat. In this star node, we have to check whether this. So here, please make a note. I'm going to find a follow position of 1. So I'll be checking whether 1 is present in last position of star. Yes, it is present. So what should I do? I'll be including first position of star in follow position of. Next, I have to move on to next cat node. So here, this is C1, this is C2. What should I do? I have to check whether 1 is present in last position of C1. Yes, present. If present, I have to include first position of C2. Okay. Similarly, follow position of 2, the same thing. S2 is present in star, last position of star. So include for first position, and we come to the cat node. 2 is present in last position of C1, and so include first position of C2. And then next comes for follow position of 3. Follow position of 3 is not present in star and cat, so it's going to be empty. Right. So what is the next step? We have to start proceeding with constructing the deterministic finite automata. So here, what is the rule? So the first position of root node will be the start state of your behavior. Okay. So A is equal to 1, 2, 3. Then what should I do? I have to proceed with dtran of A, comma A, and then I have to proceed with dtran of A, comma B. What is dtran of A, comma A? So here A is 1, 2, 3. In 1, 2, 3 positions, which are the positions that corresponds to U? So one is, yes, 1 is the position that corresponds to me. So what should I do? I have to consider only follow position of 1. Okay. So if multiple positions are there, then I have to take the union of all those. Okay. So follow position of 1 is nothing but 1, 2, 3. Again, it is A. So here again, A comma B. So 2 corresponds to B. So follow position of 2, 1, 2, 3. I am not getting any new state, any other new state. So I can stop at this. So what you can conclude here? So here A is the start state and E is the final state, because this is the last state, right? So here A comma B. Are you clear with this? Have you all got this final deterministic finite automata?
Yes, ma'am.
What about others, Ma? Why no response?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good. Okay. Similarly, if we are constructing the finite automata, should I try with this as well? No, right? You can proceed this. Just let me construct the part-3. So here, what should I do? I have to concatenate with dash, and then I have to proceed with constructing the part-3. Okay, A or B. Star. Star. Yes. Now the same procedure need to be followed, and you have to construct the finite automata. If both are same, then you can say that both are equal. Okay. Are you clear with the topics discussed? Any
Yes,
questions?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. From the next class, we'll be starting with the fourth module, context-free grammar. First, we will be dealing with the context-free grammar, and then we'll be dealing with some normal forms, and then the fifth module will be dealing with another automata, which is the push-down automata. Okay, we can start that in the next class. Okay, ma'am.